Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Enthros Campbell. The government has embarked on the second phase of the plastic ban, prohibiting manufacture, distribution, and use of expanding polystyrene foam products. In this edition of Get the Facts, we are joined by Olivia Anderson, Manager, Public Education and Corporate Communication at the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA. She will be answering your questions on this initiative. Ms. Anderson, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So good to have you on set. Now, so the ban is now in its second phase, yes? Tell us about the first phase. How did that go?
Well, on September 17th, 2018, the minister made an announcement to implement a ban on 3 items: single-use plastic bags, plastic drinking straws, and the importation of expanded polystyrene foam. So that was phase 1. In terms of phase 1, the response has been good so far. Even walking the streets, we see more people with their tote bags, persons walking out of the supermarket with their items in their hand if they forgot. Initially, we as Jamaicans, there was some trepidation, but I can see that we have gotten more used to this new plastic-free Jamaica.
Right. Have you noticed any impact? I know it's early days yet, but the impact on the environment?
Well, recently, the Jamaica Environment Trust-led International Coastal Cleanup Day, the results were released roughly a week or so ago. And one of the things that we noticed is that there was some reduction in terms of some of the items that was banned. So we're seeing incremental impact, but we're not seeing the big shift. And we believe that this will take a lot more time.
Yes. So what's the next step?
In terms of the next step, we're currently in phase 2, where we're phasing out expanded polystyrene foam, which some people commonly call styrofoam. Okay. So in terms of where that is concerned, we want persons to make the transition to reusable, to even bring in their own containers, and to find recyclable alternatives. So that is where we are.
So what kind of help are you giving to persons who will need alternative products?
Well, one of the things that the government has done in their research, they have gone out to the market to see, where the alternatives are across the island. And that is one of the reasons why we're proceeding with phase 2. So we're so confident that the industry has reacted sufficiently well. And Stavlamar to St. Thomas, we know that there are alternatives available.
Okay, so is there any help?
One of the things that was extended for businesses when the ban was announced in 2018 was a facility with the DBJ, the Development Bank of Jamaica, and that is available to businesses who are retooling. So that is in terms of the help so far.
Right. Do we have anything else in place that is to assist with the whole cleaning up of the country?
All right, so we rely heavily on the NSWMA. And there's also a project that we're working on called the Plastic Waste Minimization Project. And 2 key parameters of that project, we're doing a pilot project in Raytown that is on your way to the airport side. So in Raytown, we're looking to get the behavior change. And once we pilot that project, we want to get more Jamaicans on board. And even at NEPA, we have a Green Business Initiative program where we're helping businesses to green their operations in terms of energy savings where plastic consumption is concerned. So those are some of the initiatives. And under the Plastic Waste Minimization Project, we're doing a regulatory impact assessment to basically track how the ban has been going to date.
Right. Talk to us about that project to get behavior change. Who you're targeting in Raytown first, you're saying?
Right, that's under the Plastic Waste Minimization Project. But largely what the campaign that we have been pushing is Plastic Free Jamaica. We have gone to the highways and the byways. We've gone to town centers, communities, and we're engaging persons one-on-one in terms of how they feel about the ban. We're even introducing them to the alternatives. So you would see us walking and say, this is something that we could use, helping them to find that. So Plastic Free Jamaica and Plastic Waste Minimization Project are 2 of the initiatives that we're working on.
What kind of feedback are you getting? Are people liking it? They really want to go with it?
The feedback has been relatively good. but we've also had some persons who they feel as if they have been displaced, but we've used it as an opportunity to reassure them and to point them into the direction of where the alternatives are. Some of the feedback that we've gotten from persons of all ages is, we should have done this a long time ago. We should have done this. We've taken too long because this is something that's coming from 2016. And in terms of others, we're getting feedback in terms of the alternatives, and that is where we've really focused a lot of our energy into pointing persons to where the alternatives are.
Where are they?
Well, the alternatives are readily available they're in supermarkets, they're in haberdashery wholesales, and they're even importers who are bringing in. And the plastic ban has opened up opportunities for even local businesses. We see businesses, even where the straws are concerned, are making bamboo straws. We see businesses, that eco-friendly business is popping up to supplement the need for the ban. So the ban has provided an opportunity for those players.
Right. Are you thinking about plastic as in bottles too?
Plastic bottles is one of the critical parts of the announcement. And in terms of the government's plan, that is involved in a deposit refund scheme that is being handled by the Recycling Partners of Jamaica. And the initiative was officially launched in September 2019. One of the things that has already occurred was that on plastic bottles, a $1 cess has been put in from the manufacturer side. So each manufacturer will pay $1 per bottle. And that is going to give the Recycling Partners of Jamaica the resources to expand their network. And currently they have 18 drop-off locations. And I encourage the viewers to visit their website and to call them to find out where they could drop off their plastic bottles.
Those websites again? Where?
Recycling Partners of Jamaica.
Right. Okay.
So the deposit refund scheme, we want to get to the place on which the deposit refund scheme was built, where we have persons, you getting a dollar value per bottle, but we're not quite there yet, but we're taking the steps, and that is something on the agenda.
Yes, because in the past with the bottles, we're usually able to take back our bottles and get money for it, right? So you're heading there.
That is exactly where we're going.
Yes, okay. All right, we take a break now. When we come back with more discussion on the plastic ban initiative, stay with us. Welcome back to Get the Facts. We continue our discussion with Olivia Anderson, Manager, Public Education and Corporate Communication at NEPA. Right, so talk to us a little bit more about the projects for enforcement.
All right, so where enforcement is concerned, rather, we want Jamaicans to get on board and to comply voluntarily. So one of the things that we have done when we started was we went around the country, and instead of serving people up front and taking it to the courts, we gave them warning notices. We confiscated some of the banned items, and we did that for several businesses. However, we had to take it a step further, because later in the year we realized that some persons and businesses were not complying even after, being warned and given what we would say a ticket. So we had to go back and serve those businesses, and today we have served 36, and 19 matters have been heard in parish courts across the island, with our most recent 12 defendants in St. James, in Western Jamaica rather. So we are making good strides. So that brings us to 19, and of the 36 we have one that is going through appeal, and we also have a total of 19 that we have already received judgment from the parish judges on.
Right, so who can be fined? We're asking people not to manufacture these items. But say I go to the store and I buy something and they give me in this banned item. I can be prosecuted?
What we want persons to do, if you go to the store and you get it, report it to us. The emphasis on the ban in terms of how the legislation, and there are 2 prohibition orders, one under the Trade Act and one under the Natural Resources Conservation Authority, NRC Act. And in terms of how the legislation was drafted, we're not targeting you, the supermarket shopper. we're targeting the supermarkets, we're targeting the wholesales, we're targeting the restaurant owners, because what we want to do is to get the banned items out of the supply chain. We want you to refuse, but we don't want you to have as much, we don't want to make the banned items available to you as much as is possible.
Okay.
So in terms of those who we have prosecuted, the information has to do with the importation. We haven't prosecuted anyone for importation, and I must use this opportunity to commend the Jamaica Customs Agency, who's been doing an excellent job where border protection is concerned. And then on the ground, we've been working closely with the National Compliance and Regulatory Authority, as well as the security forces, to go in and to get these convictions. We want Jamaicans to comply. We want businesses to comply. We even set up a hotline, and the number is 876-285-8531, and an email address, which is policyonplasticban@nepa.gov.gm, so that individuals, businesses, companies can always reach out to us and get some clarification. One of the things that the government has also put in place is that at the Bureau of Standards Packaging Laboratory, you can get items tested to see whether they fall into the banned items. So there have been mechanisms that have been put in place for persons who are uncertain of whether their items are banned.
Okay. All right. So how do you know that people don't have leftover items?
One of the things that we had asked for was for a declaration.
Yes.
That was something that we had asked for earlier on. And one of the things in 2019 was that an initial grace period was given until roughly mid-February, end of February in 2019, for persons who had their stocks to deplete. So while we have implemented the ban, we have not taken a draconian measure. We want Jamaicans to feel the importance and to understand that what we're doing, we're not doing it to be harsh on them, but we're doing it to protect for all of us.
Absolutely. Right, to protect us. Let's talk about climate change and the relationship with plastic.
You know, plastic, there is a study that I would encourage any Jamaican to go and have a look at, and the United Nations Environment Program, it's called Plastic: A Roadmap to Sustainability. And that is where we want to go, sustainability. We want all of our natural resources to be here for our future generations. When we think about plastics, we think about, in terms of our waste management system, the impact that it has, because you have some plastics that takes 500 to 1,000 years to break down. Can you imagine where we're going to store those items? And even if they're in the soil or if they're in a landfill, it's still going to pose a challenge. Soil pollution is also a concern, because there are chemicals that are used to make these items, and these can sometimes leach into the soil. And even for those that break down, they break down into something we call microplastics, and there have been several studies to indicate how microplastics have been entering into the food chain. So, you know, my CEO would normally say, you know, one time you used to bring home the fish in a bag, but now you're bringing home the bag in the fish. And we see that the plastics are also impacting on our wildlife, not only fish, but even our turtles, and they're ingesting it. We saw the story internationally of the whale that had tons of plastics in its gut. It died of hunger. So it has a far-reaching implication. It blocks our drains, it blocks our waterways, and if you've ever been, and I'm sure GIS has been, to International Coastal Cleanup Day, we can see firsthand the impact.
Yes, definitely. We have. So we're in phase 2, and there's a phase 3. Yes.
Absolutely.
How's that going? And tell us about that.
Phase 2, we're in continuous dialogue with the manufacturing sector and in terms of the businesses who have come out in support as well. One of the things that we're putting in place is we're reminding businesses in terms of this third phase, one of the straws that are attached to Tetra Pak pouches, to juice pouches, I won't call some of the
Yes,
name, but we know
yes.
for the small children that they use, those will be banned come 2021. And in terms of the size of the bag will remain the same, but the thickness will increase. So in terms of how that looks, the ban in the first phase rather targeted bags 1.2 mils, and 1.2 mils is a little technical, but 1.2 mils is thinking of your regular scandal bag.
Yes.
And then now we know that we go to some bookshops or we get the nice gift bags. We're going up to those size. So we're doing it incrementally because we want Jamaicans to make the switch over time.
Okay, good. As we wrap, just your message to Jamaica as it relates to this band. Try to encourage us how, to really support the band.
We say that we're Jamaica, land of wood and water, and we think about how long plastic takes to break down. We want to have Jamaica, land of wood, water and air for our future generations, and we can only do that by having a plastic-free Jamaica. We also want Jamaicans to see the opportunities that the plastic ban has come, so we want for you to preserve our land by supporting the plastic ban.
Very good. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
Useful information. Mm-hmm. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest was Olivia Anderson, Manager of Public Education and Corporate Communication at NEPA. We urge you to continue recycling and stop using plastic items that have been banned. Keep our country clean. Until next time, when Get the Facts brings you another informative discussion, I'm Rose Campbell. Do take good care.